Our world changes. We'll keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU 102 FM 610 AM. Also on the new KVNU mobile app.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. A 36-year-old Logan man has admitted to molesting a young girl in 2021. Lester Paul Baker accepted a plea deal and will now await sentencing. Baker appeared Wednesday morning for a pretrial conference in First District Court. He pleaded guilty to an amended charge of attempted aggravated sexual abuse of a child, a first-degree felony. As part of the plea agreement, prosecutors dropped a similar charge in exchange for Baker's plea. Logan City police officers began investigating Baker after the young girl reported being sexually assaulted in August 2021. She described being abused by the defendant, who is considered to be a person of trust. Baker spoke only briefly during Wednesday's pretrial conference. He waived his right to a fair trial and pleaded guilty to the crime. Judge Brian Cannell scheduled sentencing for July 5th. Baker remains out of jail on pretrial supervision. He could be sentenced to up to life in prison. We live in an area known for its many trails. That includes over 75 trails in northern Utah. And on KVNU's For the People program last week, Brent Thomas of the Cache Trails Alliance invited the community to celebrate trails with their big kickoff event tomorrow evening from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Cache County Fairgrounds Bowery.
Cache Trails Alliance, which is our local nonprofit that focuses on kind of organizing the efforts of all trail lovers in the valley, you know, from hikers and bikers to horsemen to ultra runners to families out on a stroll, even snow bikers in the winter. You know, we're all about using our trails, enjoying our trails, and really helping to maintain our trails.
He said this is their 6th annual Adopt a Trail kickoff party.
And it's quite a party. If you're a trail aficionado, you owe it yourself to come and attend and kind of feel the energy of trail lovers getting together and uniting and focusing on what we can do to kind of give back to our region. So we've got live music lined up. We've got the Blue Blazers coming to play. We've got Roland West Barbecue and Mac Attack food trucks coming.
Again, that's 5 to 7 p.m. Saturday at the Cache County Fairgrounds Bowery. You can get more details at cachetrailsalliance.org. And while the flood watch is continuing in parts of the Cache Valley, the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food has received reports of extreme flooding in Rich County along the Bear River, causing devastation for ranchers and their livestock. Joseph Weston, a 6th-generation cattle rancher from Randolph, is trying to save his cattle from the water in his fields. This is calving season, and the water and snow has left his cattle in fields with standing water. Otter Creek runs through their place, and it has swollen enough to be more of a lake than a creek. He has been pumping water out of his basement for a couple of days with no end in sight. Weston is not alone. Other farmers and ranchers in Rich County are facing the same dilemma. The flooding of fields during calving season caught the attention of the UDAF. UDAF Commissioner Craig Butter said that after many difficult years of drought and an extremely hard winter, these ranchers are now experiencing some of the worst flooding ever seen in Rich County. He said the department is working to do everything they can to help these ranchers and set up resources for others who may experience hardships due to flooding. KVNU weather is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. They have 55 and 80-pound washers to make your stay much shorter, located in Logan and Brigham City. Mostly cloudy, 40% chance of rain showers tonight, low in the upper 30s. Chance of rain showers, slight chance of thunderstorms Saturday morning. Showers likely, a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. Cloudy, upper 50s for the high tomorrow. It's been 60 today. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
The guys at UNI Furniture are grateful for all the snow we've been blessed with this winter, but they're ready for spring. Shop UNI's spring sale on mattresses. UNI Furniture's most talked about mattress is the copper-infused memory foam. It's by far the coolest and most responsive to touch mattress they've ever seen, and it's great for side sleepers and people with back issues. Come in for a demo. Whether it's a mattress, a full bedroom set, a comfy sectional, or just a chair, you'll always find a better buy at UNI Furniture. UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
With the arrival of spring, Cache Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cache Stormwater Coalition.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help you build a strategy to help your finances keep up with your long-term needs. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Call one of the 7 Edward Jones branch locations in Cache Valley or go to edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan. Talking, well, I mean, everything. We've got so much going on in the movie world right now. With Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Disney, and summer movie season.
You know what's going to be fun?
Stacking up.
Next week is we're going to have a grab bag show next week because guess why? Because the only movie that comes out next week, I'm almost 100% sure, is Book Club. If you were waiting for that Book Club sequel.
It's sort of like the pause before the...
Well, yeah. I mean, let's set the stage because you nailed it. I mean, I'm sorry. And I don't mean to make fun of anyone that is a huge fan of the first Book Club movie, but they're not screening it for the press, just so... I mean, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that they don't care.
But it can mean it's a bad thing.
Well, I mean, I think it's easier things.
Although they didn't screen Mithrigan for the press.
They did screen Mithrigan.
They did? Okay.
But I think the difference is in this day and age of social media, they know that there's a certain core group that's going to go see Book Club, The Revenge, or whatever it's called. Book Club Travels to Italy. I can't remember. And they know that those folks are going to go, and then those folks are probably going to get more people to go just based on maybe what they say on social media. And they don't really need, the press to necessarily jump in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's just not worth the time to organize a screening.
There's a few more movies. May 12th. What day is that? That's I think that's a Friday. Before Mother's Day, there's another movie opening. I don't think it's opening in Cache Valley. I don't know why this makes me laugh, but it's this movie called Knights of the Zodiac.
I saw a trailer.
I saw a trailer as well, and I thought, how is this a thing and not just on the Sci-Fi channel?
Yeah, because it looks like one of those Sharknado sci-fi movies, which can be fun if you know that's what you're seeing.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
The biggest movies though for the rest of May, just to get all our listeners, is Fast X. That comes out on May 19th. That trailer, I'm going to say this right now. I didn't really like the Fast and the Furious movies. It wasn't my thing. Like car racing, that's not like exciting to me. I do like Vin Diesel, but. The Fast and Furious, what was the second one? Too Fast, Too Furious. What was the third one? Tokyo Drift, I think. Anyway, my point is that when they started, I think it was like right around either the fifth or the sixth one, I thought, okay, I kind of like, but they kind of turned into like Ocean's 11, right? But with cars. And when you added Jason Statham and The Rock and different other, I was like, okay, these are they just become they're over the top. And this trailer for Fast X, it's just so unapologetic. Like it's just like we know what you think. We know how some of the lines and just this villain that they've got coming out of this is Jason Momoa, Aquaman.
Yeah.
And he plays, you remember the one where they go to Brazil and they take the safes out, remember? And it's where The Rock is chasing Vin Diesel still. and he kind of gives him a head start. He's like, all right, take off, but I'll see you soon, Toretto. That's a meme. And then he opens the safes up and he's like, there's no money. They double-crossed us. What a bunch of silly gooses. Anyway, apparently when that the crime boss, I can't remember his name in the show. He plays a mafiosa drug guy in a lot of movies. Go back and watch Clear and Present Danger. He gets knocked off into the ocean, I suppose.
Yeah.
Over some causeway. Apparently, that's his son is Jason Momoa. And so it's like the most random villain. It's like, hey man, you remember when you stole those safes? Yeah, I was standing on the street and you knocked a mailbox and it hit my dad in the face and he died. And now I'm angry, so I'm coming after you. I'm gonna destroy your family, Toretto.
This sounds like what fans of the franchise want.
Oh yeah, and it's just.
I heard the funniest conversation. Speaking of Fast and Furious as a franchise, funniest conversation I overheard the other day. I came close to having to stand up and walk away so that they didn't, because there were only they were sitting at one table, I was sitting at another table, and it would have been obvious I was laughing at them. But the one guy said. He didn't see the last one, and his friend asks why, and he says, I don't know, I feel like they jumped the shark and then stomped the shark's head and then beat the shark to death. And his friend sat there for a minute and he said, have you ever seen a James Bond movie? and his point was perfect. Like,
sure,
James Bond's an extremely popular franchise,
right.
But you can't say it's. You know what I like about James Bond films? They're so realistic.
Yeah, I love those.
And I get it. It was kind of weird when Fast and the Furious went to space. Yep. I mean, it is kind of a bit over the top, but it's the fastest. I mean, did you see the first one?
So
that stuff's not possible too, right?
I know what I'm thinking of here. It was Fast 5 in 2011.
Oh,
that's the one where The Rock jumps in.
Yeah.
And that was the one where, let's see who the villain was. The villain was Herman Reyes. Played by... Yeah, it's played by... I'm not even going to say that because I'll just slaughter it, so I'm going to let that one go. But the point is this guy Reyes, his son... is the villain in this new Fast X, and it, like I said, it's just there's some really corny lines in the trailer. And actually, I don't think Sam. So we were at Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't think Sam had seen the trailer for Fast X. And we're sitting there, and it just occurred to him who Jason Momoa is playing, like the relation. And Sam's like, he just started laughing so loud in the theater. He's like, wait a minute, that the villain is that guy's son? He's like, what? It's funny. And then everyone else shows up, of course, Helen Mirren and
it's kind of a
Rita
stretch.
Moreno, Jason Statham. Here's the thing. It's probably going to be cool. You know what I mean? It'll be one of those things. It's directed by...
that's what these movies are for, right? They're supposed to be flashy, loud.
Yeah.
And it's why this is also why I still defend Michael Bay, despite that last 40 minutes of that one Transformers movie that he should be arrested for.
And let's be honest.
No one needs a fight scene that long.
When we start talking about this, that's a movie. So Fast X, May 19th. Right after that, 5 days after, is The Little Mermaid, the controversial Little Mermaid, May 24th. And then a few others in May. There's The Machine, which is like a film version of the Burt Kreger, the comedian. You know, he tells the story about when he went to Russia as part of I think it's a college group. Have you ever heard this story? You know, and they're like, they call him the Machine.
The Machine, yeah.
So apparently they made that into a movie. And then as we get in,
that could be all right. Maybe.
But you mentioned Transformers, or you didn't mention Transformers. You mentioned Michael Bay, which immediately connects me to Transformers.
Yeah.
There is another Transformers movie coming out in June, Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
Oh, this isn't Michael Bay? I thought he was coming back to save the franchise.
I'm almost 1,000% sure it's not Michael Bay.
So this is literally just cashing in, and this will not be good. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I thought about that about when they did Bumblebee, the standalone movie, and I actually really, really enjoyed that. Have you seen the trailer, by the way? There's, Tommy Wiseau, whatever his name is, that did The Room. That he has a new movie coming out called Big Shark.
Yeah. Really?
You got to check out the trailer for
that.
Big
Shark.
Yeah, Big Shark. I think it's the end of June.
Is this like The Meg, but comedy?
I don't even have words to describe. I just don't.
I'm looking at it here. This is...
Oh, hi, Shark.
What is this?
Wait, let's make a prediction. Because we know in The Room, remember he says, "Oh, hi, Mark." Remember that? That's the famous line. "Oh, hi, Mark." If I guarantee you, I would bet $1 million that at some point somebody in that movie says, "Oh, hi, Shark." If not, what's the point, right?
I wonder if they started making this when they heard Cocaine Bear was happening, or if it's just coincidental timing.
Well, my guess is that with the the popularity of The Room, resurgence, back in 2017, 2018, because of the James Franco, Seth Rogen movie, I would bet that somebody was like, "Hey, let's make Tommy Wiseau a thing, right? Let's give him some money and have him make his own, another dumb movie, and it becomes a cult classic kind of thing."
Well, I mean, it's worked before.
I did not hit her. I did not.
Bruce Campbell, as an actor, has an entire career because of this.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
In those Evil Dead movies.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're good.
No.
I'm just saying that whole let's make a bad movie on purpose kind of thing.
If there's tiers of bad movies, I think The Room doesn't even fit in the terms. But I will say...
It's especially bad.
You know what one of my favorite Bruce Campbell movies is Bubba Hotep.
The Elvis Jesus one?
Is that the Bubba Hotep?
Yeah. He's Elvis. And
there's some kind of mummy comes back.
Yeah,
remember
mummy
zombie.
It plays on these conspiracy theories. There's a black guy. They're at a senior center.
Oh no, one's John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, they're at a senior center, and one's
Elvis.
There's a black guy that says he's JFK, and then Bruce Campbell plays Elvis, but you don't know if this is really Elvis and he never actually died. That's the conspiracy, right?
Right. Same thing with John.
And now he's in his 80s
in a wheelchair too.
Yeah, JFK's in a wheelchair because he got shot in the 60s. That's the story he tells. And then somehow I don't remember how the mummy comes into it, but it turns into a comedy horror movie.
Some kind of it's a Bubba Hotep.
Amazing movie. I can't believe it wasn't. Yeah. You're listening to the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan. As you can see, we've got a lot to talk about because we're not even into the calendar yet. But we'll be back looking ahead at summer movie season, what's out this weekend, next weekend, the one after that, all of that right after this.
We're celebrating Cinco de Mayo right now at the Cache County Fairgrounds. We're going to be here all day long until about 8 o'clock tonight. So maybe you want to get out here and you want to just come get some delicious meals with your family. There are so many options. Maybe you want to just come out and dance. Maybe you want to enjoy the music, the entertainment, the bounce houses. We've got it all right now at the Cache County Fairgrounds for Cinco de Mayo. It's honestly one of my favorite days of the entire year because watching the community all come together, it's just such a beautiful thing. So hopefully we get to see you at Cinco de Mayo at the Cache County Fairgrounds right now until 8 o'clock tonight. Get you some food, get you some dancing, take your whole family and just enjoy. And we'll see you here.
With the arrival of spring, Cash Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cash Stormwater Coalition.
Didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio. Andy, during the break, this was something sent in by a listener. You'd mentioned The Flash coming out June 16th, and Ezra Miller, the star. I think it's fair to say he's probably not coming back for sequels. And some of the things he's I was going to say had been accused of. He's admitted to these things from choking a woman on set in Iceland to... just some really bizarre behavior.
Real gem of a person.
He says that in a statement he put out, he says, he was abused as a child and is just beginning to deal with that. He was sexually abused as a child and was just beginning to deal with that. Says his parents lived in a cult. Who knows? But,
so we really do need to talk about Kevin.
Well, yeah, kind of the same, yeah. But here's the thing that a listener points out that's ironic, and I didn't know this. Apparently there was a test screening of this at a con of some kind recently, and at least from the social media, they kept it pretty under wraps, but the social media reaction is apparently along the lines of, this is the best thing DC has ever done. And man, is that not... DC has the worst luck sometimes. Getting back to our discussion before, I really think that's part of it. They've had bad timing. And wouldn't it just be sort of fitting for DC to put out their best movie ever, but it stars somebody that you just can't justify making another movie with?
Well,
unless he gets some help.
And like I said, I think that this has been strategically placed to
the CEOs at DC going, really?
Well, I think
we make our good movie finally, and the leads.
I think they're looking at it different than that, because I think they're looking at it as, if this is the success that people think it might be, they feel like, because it's going to end this, what I would call the bizarre, weird, just all over the place chapter of DC's universe.
Which is the reason I think they canceled Batgirl.
Yes,
because they thought Batgirl's going to contribute to that.
They're just like, what are we going to do here?
Because this is direct to DVD quality movie making. Here.
Well, yeah, there's that, and again, they never had a Man of Steel sequel because, again, you and I talked about this. If you and I both know that when Richard Donner showed up to do Superman with Christopher Reeve, those first 2 movies were pretty much filmed simultaneously.
Yeah,
Superman 1 and 2 are almost 2 movies. Or 1 movie.
The third was never planned.
No, the third.
Well, the third was a studio decision to capitalize on the first 2 were the original vision. He came to him. Donner came to him, or when they got Donner involved, he said, "This needs to be 2 movies,
right?
And to tell the whole story." So yeah.
Yeah, I think
then the third one was like, maybe we could make some more money.
Well, I think what's
Richard Pryor doing.
Yeah, I think that's the, if we had to kind of encapsulate Marvel and DC and kind of compare them together, I think that's the thing that Marvel got right and DC, kind of got wrong, was I think, Marvel took these like B and C class superheroes, right? Because who was at the forefront of Marvel, right? It's Spider-Man. It's not Black Widow. It's not Thor. It's not even Iron Man, really. You know what I mean? You could probably say the X-Men, maybe the Fantastic Four. There's some more higher profile. But they took all these characters, kind of gave them their own little individual films, and that all just built to these ensemble movies that everyone loved. Avengers. Yeah. Age of Ultron did fine, even though it wasn't, as highly reviewed as the previous one. Civil War. And then obviously both Endgame and Infinity War, those things are just we built to that.
Yeah.
DC's problem, and you and I talked about this, is they do really well with the superheroes that aren't godlike, and that's the thing. Marvel, most of their superheroes, you could say Thor maybe, right? But like Superman, really for the most part can't really be killed, and so it's hard to have it's hard to have some type of believable, I don't know, angst in the story, that
tension and anxiety. Ooh, will he die? No, he's Superman.
I think Man of Steel did.
That's why I say the problem with Superman is the most interesting thing about him is his origin story, and you can only do that so many times.
You can only do it once.
Yeah.
It's just, Man of Steel I think worked because I think they focused on
him as a kid and
do I do this? Like, I know I could, and I should be helpful, and I thought it had a great cast. And you and I talked about this during the break. We both think that Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice was a great show. I just think I think sometimes in movies and current TV shows, sometimes I don't know the right word for it, but I think sometimes franchises or IPs, we could call it that, they're too eager to resolve things. You know what I mean? Like in Empire Strikes Back, we were left with Darth Vader is Luke's father, Han Solo's frozen, Luke got his hand cut off, lost his lightsaber, and all of that we were left with, and we had to sit with for 3 years.
Yeah. And at that point, they knew they were getting to make the trilogy, so they dared to do that.
We had to wait 3 years to figure out, what happened. I think sometimes they need to do more of that, like
a little more.
The Superman died. Why did we? Then he comes back a year later, and you know what I mean. Like let's play that out more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Like,
and it didn't even really work that he was kind of a bad guy at first, because you also knew from the trailer that wasn't gonna.
Also, he was wearing suit pants. You know?
That was awkward actually.
I
really think the missed opportunity with Superman and Smallville, the TV show, I think kind of showed this. I think a standalone Superman movie could be huge if 3/4 of the movie was him growing up.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, you don't even get to the part where he's a superhero, crime fighter, saving the world. You just kind of hint at that and the movie ends.
Wow.
I think people would find that to be a compelling story, and DC just is determined. I guess what I'm trying to say, I think DC,
they're so messed up.
Is still they're trying so hard to find out how to recreate what Feige and Marvel did. And I don't think they should do that.
Let me throw this out. You heard me say this a couple years ago when we were talking about DC. I said if DC called me and said, Andy, we want you to come and be the head of DC, and I said the first thing I would do is cancel all future plans.
Yeah.
And I would issue an apology to fans. I would say, listen, fans, we pride ourselves. We want to have this be. We want you to love our films, and we're off track. We've gone off. We're just not where we need to be, and we're not satisfied with what we're putting out and the plan forward. So we're pausing, and we're going to come back to you, and what we're going to give you is going to blow your mind. And so weirdly, that's what James Gunn has been brought in to do, and that's what they've done. They've killed everything. This whole thing was like The Rock was going to have this Black Adam franchise, and they had the Henry Cavill cameo at the end of cameo at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they're like, surprise. No, thank you.
No.
So
did not get the response we expected.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I think James Gunn is you talk about
trying to hit the reset button.
Well, but I think DC's in a good position right now, and here's why: is they have an opportunity to do something similar to what Marvel's doing at a time when a lot of people are frustrated with Marvel because it's just and not a lot of it's Marvel's. I don't want to say it is Marvel's fault, and it's not their fault. They closed a chapter. And then the chapter that they've opened up just so far is not as exciting as the first chapter. Oh. You know what I mean? It's not as it's just not as thrilling so far.
I think that's where DC has an advantage, because they can see, okay, this is finite. It can't look like we're following Marvel's footsteps. Our characters are different. DC's darker, and so maybe the whole like comedic superhero film that Marvel capitalized on doesn't work for DC. I mean, it definitely doesn't work if you've got Henry Cavill playing Superman, because he's not good at comedy.
No, I think
Aquaman can be, but no one wants a sequel.
Well, and I don't know what's gonna. I mean, I know that the Aquaman movie that's supposed to come out this December is still going to come out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their plan is for.
They should reset before it does. I'm telling you.
I don't know what their plan is for Gal Gadot and Aquaman. Maybe those people, maybe they're done. I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that, future plans other than what's been completed pretty much is done.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be very interesting, to watch how it transpires. Like I said last week, I can't imagine that Marvel's super excited about every time, James Gunn shows up to do press for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Everyone's like, so tell us about DC.
Yeah. That would be really irritating.
You'd be like, giving these guys free press.
Speaking of that, we've got to go to the news here, but that is on the other side. The big movie opening in theaters here in Logan this weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. A lot of excitement about the Dune 2 trailer, the part 2 of Dune trailer, out this week as well. Some con announcements, summer movie season lineup filling out a little bit more, and all kinds of things. So we'll be back. Keep it going. The For the People movie show continues right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News brought to you by Logan Extermination. Relief is on the way for Logan residents wary of hefty power bills in the form of clean, renewable energy at reasonable prices. That energy will be power from the Red Mesa Tapaha Solar Project, a 72-megawatt facility located on the Navajo Nation Reservation in southeastern Utah. The power purchase agreement between the Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems, or UAMS, and the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Generation-Utah will make solar energy available to 15 UAMPS customers, including the city of Logan, for 25 years, according to Mason Baker, the CEO of the Power Cooperative. City spokeswoman Emily Malik confirms that Logan has a 5-megawatt share in the solar project, which is a step in the right direction toward easing residents' power bill stress. Newly released body camera video shows the man accused of fatally stabbing 4 University of Idaho students being pulled over for allegedly running a red light about a month before the killings. The Idaho Statesman reported Thursday that the video shows Washington State University campus police stopping Brian Koberger on October 14th in Pullman. During the video, Officer Isabel Luengas parks behind Koberger's 2015 Hyundai Elantra in a parking lot. She tells him he ran a red light and asks for Koberger's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. Koberger says he was stuck in the middle of the intersection. He was let off with a warning at the time. And a federal judge will decide whether to block a cookie company from continuing to expand as it faces a lawsuit from a competitor accusing it of stealing trade secrets and copying its business model. Crumbl, which started in Logan, is suing Dirty Dough, accusing the cookie company of obtaining proprietary information, including recipes. Dirty Dough has denied wrongdoing and says the case is about $1 billion company trying to stifle competition. Crumbl is asking for the judge to order a pause on Dirty Dough's franchising and a public apology for what it says have been misstatements throughout the legal dispute. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Bring back the sounds you've been missing. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Call 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR. Chance of rain showers tonight, low in the upper 30s. Chance of rain showers, slight chance of thunderstorms in the morning on Saturday. Then rain showers likely and a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon. High in the upper 50s. More showers on tap for Sunday. For the latest news, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
With this incredibly cold and wet winter, it's put everybody behind on lawn care services. Logan Extermination is ready to serve you. They offer the following services: outside bug spray from April to October for $65 per spray. Spray for weeds in your lawn as soon as possible for only $45 per 5,000 square feet. Don't forget, Logan Extermination can aerate your lawn to get airflow to combat the extra snow and moisture. Call Logan Extermination today. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
It's no secret, Cinco de Mayo is happening today. We're broadcasting live at the Cache County Fairgrounds, so we have a Cinco de Mayo celebration you will not forget. Whether your family is out here, you're trying to think of what to come up with for dinner, we got you covered. Tons and tons of options as far as food is concerned. Maybe you just want some sweets. They got some churros that are here. And maybe you want to come down and let your kids run around, just get rid of some of the energy. Tons of bounce houses. Plus, there's dancing. There's some Zumba going on. There's also tons of musical entertainers. And you know the community is just so beautiful. So come check out Cinco de Mayo going on right now at the Cache County Fairgrounds. We're going to be here until 8 o'clock tonight. Bring your whole family. We'll see you here.
Some companies will quote you a lower price just to get you to commit to having them perform a service for you, but not John Hanson, the Duck Hunter. When you see coupons or prices advertised for services, we highly recommend you call and ask a lot of questions. Find out what other costs might be added, what type of equipment and experience they have, and what you can expect from their finished result. This tip will get you better service and a good price. For a free consultation on air duct cleaning and dryer vent line cleaning, call the Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show with Andy Morgan joining us here. The big opener this weekend, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 final installment. And here's just a bit from the trailer released for the movie opening this weekend here in Logan.
My sacred mission is to create the perfect society.
He didn't want to make things perfect. He just hated things the way they are.
A lot of scenes of a sad little baby raccoon in this trailer, Andy.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. If you're an animal rights activist, you might not want to go see this. Not because they, obviously everything's CGI, but
and we know Rocket makes it because he was in the first two movies. His origin story.
Part of me wonders.
Dark.
Yeah, part of me wonders how much of James Gunn's personal beliefs come into this, because I know him and his wife rescue animals.
Yeah,
and that is anyway. It just, let's just say I was misty quite a bit. If I had to, before we get into kind of what this is about, and what this is, where this stands in the Marvel universe, and what kind of what the future is, I will say that I watched the first and the second and the third movie, and I would say the third probably gets a nod. It's not always going to be like, the first one comes out and you're like, wow, this is new and fresh, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first one still takes the cake.
Yeah.
But this is, I would give it a slight nod over the second. The second movie I still think is great too, again, because it's very, I don't know, it's sentimental.
One thing that the trailer for this made me realize is that there are these visual stages to Marvel movies too. So the second Guardians of the Galaxy was, at the same time you had Thor Ragnarok, or not Ragnarok. What was the second one? Oh no, that was Ragnarok.
The second one.
So Marvel was in this bright colors, very CGI background oriented phase, and this kind of reminds me of the first phase of Marvel, like the dirty, dingy Iron Man movie. That's sort of what this one looks like, at least in the trailer. Grittier.
So, one thing I would say is there is something on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus and you didn't see this during the holidays, go and watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Yeah.
It's like maybe 25 minutes long.
And it actually furthers the story.
It does.
Even though it's just a funny thing.
And it plays into this. So, I guess to kind of set the scene, Guardians 3 picks up It doesn't really say like how much time has passed, but we know what happened obviously at the end of in Endgame and in Infinity War, right? Peter and Gamora, played by Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana, they were in love after Guardians 2, right? They were a couple. and then when they, everybody meets up in Avengers Infinity War. Or wait, am I getting that wrong? I always get those wrong.
Man,
I'm
struggling here too.
Somebody is like probably texting right now. They're like, I know. Yeah, we know. It's okay. And no, it's Infinity War was the first one. I always forget that. Endgame is the last one. So in Infinity War, Thanos is out trying to collect the rest of the stones. And, spoiler alert, actually, it doesn't matter at this point. If we're in 2023 and you're still, backtracking on other movies and you have, too bad. We know, Gamora, he put, remember he threw her off the cliff to get the one, the I don't remember what stone it was. The one that was Black Widow and Hawkeye. Yeah, Soul Stone. You're right.
I think so.
Anyhow, so Gamora is dead. That's part of the reason that they blow their first attempt at subduing Thanos, when it's Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and everybody when they're on Titan. And they almost have the glove off, and then Peter's like, "What did you do?" You know what I mean? And then Thanos snaps out of Mantis's little trance or whatever. So this is after that. We know in Infinity War, Gamora comes back on a different timeline, but she doesn't know who Peter is, and she's definit's not in love with him.
She never met him, and she doesn't like him.
So when this picks up, Peter is a mess. He's drunk. Basically, he's just really struggling. He's, with this whole losing Gamora. But
kind of like Fat Thor.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Endgame.
And then, interestingly enough, a new character just shows up right out of the blue, right? They're living on, you remember, in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, they go to see the Collector, and the Collector lives on a dead alien head.
Yeah.
And it's called Nowhere with a K.
A quick question on that. Is it your impression that the Collector's dead? After spoiler alert for everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Because they show, they basically burn his museum to the ground.
I don't think he's alive.
Okay.
And Nowhere is now almost like a refuge. The Guardians are there. They have their own little place. Groot's there, Rocket, and then obviously people that have joined, Mantis is there, Drax, and then what's Karen? I can't think of Karen Gillan's. Nebula. Nebula is also now part of the Guardians. Anyhow,
kind of my favorite part of the Guardians. Well,
she's great.
She and Groot and Rocket.
Well, Karen Gillan is so great. But anyway, the movie opens up. I don't know if you know this actor Will Poulter. Anytime I think of Will Poulter, I think of We're the Millers. He was the dorky teenager who gets bit.
And he's been in something else as a bad guy, wasn't he?
He was in some of the Maze Runner movies, but I think he kind of got some acting chops in The Revenant. He played Jim Bridger.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so he's in this, and in this movie, the character that he plays is a new character. He plays Adam Warlock. It's this artificial being that's, remember in the second movie there was the Sovereign. They came to like protect their batteries. The Guardians did. Those people that were like covered in gold.
He got swole.
Yeah, he did. He started.
Wasn't he like the scrawny little kid?
He was. Anyhow,
obviously beefed up for this role. He looks like a bodybuilder.
Well, he shows up, and the plot of the movie basically is he shows up at the beginning of the movie to try to steal Rocket. And the reason he's taking Rocket is that it turns out that the Sovereign is a race of people that is created by the villain in this show. And the villain in this movie is this character called the High Evolutionary.
Okay.
It's this guy that kind of thinks he's God. He just, does a lot of genetic experiments, like, just not a nice person in any way, shape, or form. And he is threatened to basically destroy the entire Sovereign society unless they bring him this, Rocket the Raccoon. And that's where you get the backstory. And there's a lot of it's heart-wrenching. It really is.
The images from the trailer are
it's
troubling.
sad. It is. And so then what the movie becomes is it's
little raccoon with like Bambi's eyes from the Disney movie.
It's Peter and Nebula and Drax and Mantis essentially are they're like we got to go help our friend. We got to go rescue Rocket and obviously
we got to back up just a little
Groot.
bit. Will Poulter was born in Kenya, and his mom is a game warden at a wildlife refuge in Kenya.
He probably was sad then too.
Anyhow, just reading about the cast here, and
I
did not know.
It turns out another piece of this too that's interesting is that they run into Gamora later, and Gamora is now a Ravager. Do you remember the Ravagers?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
She is officially a Ravager. She's actually the leader of the Ravagers, and she. I like the way that they interact with her. She does not like Star-Lord at all. She can't get... one of the things I love, too, is that all the names they call Rocket throughout the whole thing, they're like, we got to go save this hedgehog, like, we've got to go save this... anyway, it's just...
I love in the trailer when he said, I fell in love with a girl. She died.
Yeah.
She came back.
Yeah,
as a jerk.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth with that.
I thought that actually made me. Really quick question, unless this is a spoiler, but so I mentioned Nebula. It's kind of one of my favorite parts of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Does she kind of finally get to stop being a side character now that Thanos is out of the picture?
Nebula?
Yeah.
Nebula is actually a very prominent role in this.
Okay. Because she was always a character in relation to Thanos. And
what I would call this is, this is the final Guardians movie.
Yeah, they've said that, right?
They get to the end and everyone kind of, this isn't really a spoiler alert, but everyone, you know what, I should do this as a little teaser. Everyone that survives, everyone that survives kind of goes their separate ways, and not in a sad way. Kind of in that way where, you're graduating from college and you're going to get a job over here. You're going to live back home. You're going to go find your way. That
we'll
kind of
still
thing.
hang out.
Yeah, and there is. So what I will say, without telling, because I don't want to tell everyone who lives and who dies, but at the end of the movie, there is there. Let me also say too, in traditional Marvel fashion, there are two after credit scenes. One that's very
midway and
one that's very
end.
very close after the end, and then one that's at the very very end.
Okay.
I will say this: there is a group at the end that is still the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
they just are under new leadership, and it's touching. But I will say. I won't. I'm not going to say. I really want to say what happens at the very last end credit scene, but it's just. I will say, Chris Pratt. He was such a delight when he showed it. Chris Pratt's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We obviously know him from Parks and Rec. We know him from. He was in.
I was disappointed when they announced him before the first Guardians movie, and then I saw it, and
he got super buff for it, and
I just thought he was a lot funnier and more. Yeah, I just thought he was going to show up as the Parks and Rec Chris Pratt, which was funny in that role, but I didn't think that would work in a Marvel movie. And he ended up being kind of perfect for Star-Lord.
He was. He's that sort of combo between I don't know,
superhero / goofy.
Yeah, you're a little bit of a nerd.
Yeah.
Anyway. So he works out, but this is a good return for him. I think it's he's been in a lot. I think they've tried to put him in some more serious roles since this, and it just doesn't quite fit always.
Yeah.
So this is it's refreshing. I like to see him in comedic roles. I've always maintained that I would love, and they probably won't be able to do this until. I just had to cross myself until Harrison Ford dies, because I think they have an agreement with him. But I would love to see them not really reboot Indiana Jones, the franchise, but similar to what you and I have talked about, kind of do a James Bond thing.
Where it's just a different Indiana.
And I think Chris Pratt would be fantastic.
No explanation given.
Yeah, I just think it would be good.
I could see that.
That was the rumor is that was originally the plan in 2014. That after, because Lucasfilm was sold to Disney in 2012.
Harrison Ford was like,
well, not necessarily.
I'm right here.
In 2012, when Lucasfilm was sold to Disney, they sat there and the first plan was, okay, what do we do with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And of course it was. And this is my favorite thing. In 2005, George Lucas is like, I'm done with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Flash forward 7 years, and even before Disney bought Lucasfilm, George Lucas was already planning sequel trilogies, right?
Yeah.
He was already in the works because, come on. And Roger Ebert called it. He's like, nah, as long as these make money, Star Wars isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was their first conversation, was what do we do with Star Wars? So all that gets announced. And then they were like, we got to get Han Solo back. And so I think the conversation was in 2014, after Chris Pratt jumped on the scene and everyone was like, oh, Jurassic World, he's great. Oh, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, he's great. They were like, we got to have this guy be Indiana Jones. And then Harrison Ford's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Unless I can do another Indiana Jones movie.
Well, and I also read that Kennedy, Kathleen Kennedy, the Star Wars, the one that's kind of running the Star Wars show now with Lucas's, either saying kiss of death or kiss of approval. I don't know.
He has no. You have no power here.
but she'd worked closely with him and is now kind of leading the show for Disney for when it comes to Star Wars.
How much money do you think she has?
Oh man.
Wasn't she a producer on E.T.?
She's got to be close to where he is, Lucas, because
how much percentage?
She's been involved in every major blockbuster in some way. But
how much money do you get when you're like an executive producer? Like, what cut do you get?
I don't think it's a huge cut of overall profits, but I know that they work on contract. You look that up while we take our last break. But I think
we got to know.
I think Disney said we've got to close out the Harrison Ford Indiana Jones story. Is one thing I read too, that they everyone agreed there needed to be some kind of like an ending for the Indiana we've all grown up with, so that they can go on. But we'll be back. More of the For the People movie show right after this.
News Talk 610 AM 102.1 FM KVNU.
The guys at UNI Furniture are grateful for all the snow we've been blessed with this winter, but they're ready for spring. Shop UNI's spring sale on mattresses. UNI Furniture's most talked about mattress is the copper-infused memory foam. It's by far the coolest and most responsive to touch mattress they've ever seen, and it's great for side sleepers and people with back issues. Come in for a demo. Whether it's a mattress, a full bedroom set, a comfy sectional, or just a chair, you'll always find a better buy at UNI Furniture. UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Spring didn't happen as early as we anticipated. Winter returned, and it's time to help wake up your grass with a light raking. Then to keep it green and weed-free this summer, call the Lawn Doctor. We can put you on a summer program to make your lawn the greenest and healthiest it can be all season long.
Go to LawnDoctorCashValley.com or just give them a call at 753-LAWN. That's 753-LAWN.
Never lose me, Paul Atreides.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Dune 2 pushed back from October to November, but that was the big trailer last week everyone was talking about. A while before you can see that one. You'll be able to see Big Shark before you can see Dune 2, right?
I actually just finished the Dune book, so...
What do you think?
This is like almost nails the book.
Did you like the experience of reading the book? I love the story.
It's my second time. Yes.
I love the story, but I always kind of struggled with Herbert himself as
he's a little weird.
Yeah, writer.
But no, they've nailed it. They've nailed it.
It's an amazing read, and I'm so excited for
We
this
should talk
one.
about that more next week.
Okay. Dune next week. We've also got more. We can talk about The Flash and summer movie season in general really starting to literally heat up. That's next week on the For the People movie show. Thanks for joining us today. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM.